I came out here to talk to you real quickly about a couple things. Pastor Gary mentioned it. Dreaming big. He kind of told a lot of the story, but I was sitting in the living room of my house with some friends of mine, and they told me that I need to start thinking outside of the box a little bit. I've been singing for years, but they told me that you got to start thinking outside of the box. So the voice came up, and long story short, I met with them, and they kept moving me forward and kept moving me forward, and the casting director of the voice said, why are you, I don't remember how old I was, like 28 or 29, and they said, why are you 28 and I've never heard of you before? And in my mind, I thought it's because I'd never tried anything outside of my box. And as I continued to do this, this experience taught me about what it means, about understanding your capacity and being able to go beyond what you think you can do and prepare yourself for things like what I've been doing for the last couple of years of my life because of this show. So I know that in this room there's a lot of ability represented, but what the difference is between having ability and actually executing it is being willing to take chances. On Ali's video, he mentioned not being afraid of failure and being willing to take risks. And I want everybody in this room, and I can tell you this because I've experienced it, that the risk most of the time is worth the reward that you're going to get on the other end. And you don't get a big reward unless you take a big risk. So I want to encourage you guys in this room to dream big, because what I get to do now in my life, working for the show and singing with all these artists and getting to write these write with these amazing writers and work on these songs is all because I took a risk. So I want everybody in this room to dream big. What do I want you to do? I want you to dream big, all right? All right, the second thing, real quick, there's three things. The second thing, I'll go real fast, is dig deep. How many of you guys have been in New York City? Everybody has been in New York City on this island. Is it because that's just the way you get off the island, just to go to New York? Okay. When you go to New York, what do you see? You see skyscrapers, exactly. When you go to New York, you see skyscrapers. Now, there was one time I was in New York walking through, I think maybe the financial district or something, and they were building a new building, but they hadn't started actually going up. What I did is I looked over the railing, and they had dug this deep, deep hole in the ground, a very deep hole in the ground, and one of the foremen who were walking by said, guys, we got to keep going deeper because of how high we're trying to build this building. Like, this building's going to be like 80-something stories or something like that. And so in order to build this high 80-story building, they had to dig deep and have a deep foundation or the building wouldn't stand. And when he said that, I thought about how many times in our lives and in my life I have wanted instant gratification. I've wanted a big career. I've wanted money. I've wanted all this stuff, but I don't want to dig deep and do the work it takes so that when that comes, it will stand and it won't fall. The dynamic, and we have to understand that if we're going to dream big, you also have to apply yourself and you have to dig deep. You got to work on your character, you got to work on your integrity, you got to work on your craft. If I had not been working at singing and working at being on the stage, then I would not have been ready for when a skyscraper opportunity came for me. So a lot of us, it's hard for us, especially now in this whole, everybody's got a phone where they can get stuff immediately. It's hard for us to work with something we can't see in mind. But what I want you guys to do is, if you're going to dream big, you have to work hard starting now. Work hard starting now, because the difference between people who have these monster careers and people who only are flashes in the pan is how many people, is how much work did you put in on the front end. That is the major difference. So I want you guys to dream big, and I want you guys to dig deep. What do I want you to do? And dig deep. And the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is you have to decide who you're going to be around. My father always tells me this story about a bald eagle that was raised in a coop, raised in a pen with a bunch of turkeys. So this eagle literally walked like a turkey. He thought he was a turkey. He walked like a turkey. When the turkeys would fly, which they can't really fly for long distances, they can just fly a little bit, he would flap his wings and fly like 20 feet at 5 feet off the ground like they did in land, and walk with them, and he would do his neck all weird. Everything was just like a turkey. But he was a bald eagle, but because he had been raised with turkeys, he acted and thought he was exactly that. Until one day he saw over his head these birds that happened to look a little bit like him, but they were like dots in the sky because of how high they were. And he thought, now, I feel like I'm one of these turkeys because this is all I've known, but up there, that's where I feel like I belong. But because I've been, he didn't realize his potential because he had been hanging around with all these turkeys. So he decided he's gonna flap his wings just a little bit harder, and he started going a little bit higher than his friends. And his friends were kind of like, "What are you doing? You're a turkey. Stay down here with us." And over time, he was like, "No, no, no. This is not where I belong. I belong up there with these eagles." Here's the deal. I tell you the story to tell you this. My dad always used to tell me that to remind me that I am an eagle, but if I hang out with turkeys, all I'm gonna do is act like a turkey. So you guys have to decide who you're gonna be around, because a lot of you who have monster eagle potential surround yourself with turkeys and you don't ever do anything with your life, even though you have the potential to do it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you gotta dream big, you've gotta dig deep, and you've gotta decide who you're gonna be around. What are the three things you gotta do? Dream big, dig deep, and and don't chill with turkeys. That's basically the third thing. I want you guys to think on those things today.